Hello lovelies, I am the Fragnostic and welcome to the fourth and final installment of the Too Sick to Play quadrilogy, a series looking back at the games I played over the past couple of weeks while my lungs were too preoccupied with expelling bronchial slime to aid in my usual commentary hijinks. Tonight we'll be looking at Layers of Fear, an early access title from Steam which was kindly provided for me by Steam user Inverse Flames. Thank you very much buddy, very kind of you. In this one we'll be taking on the role of a nameless but very mad painter who wanders his vast and opulent family home, getting a lot bloody madder. Right then, ready to paint? No you're not, you've not even watered down your colours, you fucking amateur. Even in its current unfinished build, Layers of Fear may well be one of the finest horror games I've ever played, and that really comes down to a quality that many genre titles tend to try and ignore like a creeping genital rash, and that is immersion. You'll have noticed already that the game is stunningly beautiful and incredibly well designed, its appearance heavily influenced by the Baroque and Gothic revival architecture of the 19th century, as well as showcasing many genuine works from some of history's finest artists. There's Rembrandt, Bosch, Moreland, Fuseli, and most notably a good number of paintings by Francisco Goya, who himself suffered a terrible physical and mental breakdown. Of course, you don't need an art degree to understand the game, this isn't fucking Prometheus. Even without prior knowledge of the works on display, their presence very early on sows the seeds of the deeply unsettling atmosphere to come. Look at this bird. What's he doing with that baby? Is he trying to change it? Why would a bird be changing a baby? While it's a foregone that, you know, looks aren't everything, having them is a big plus in a game that demands and rewards intense exploration. News articles, medical reports, correspondence and examinable items are your jigsaw pieces here, and snippets of this plot are hidden away in sock drawers, chests and wardrobes, all of which you're guaranteed to miss without turning each and every room you walk into upside down. Now the nice thing about it is that it's all completely optional. You can walk through the Layers of Fear's current build in about 20 minutes if you don't want to open anything, and grab the vaguest of ideas of what's going on. Something about a guy making a painting with bits of people, probably his family. But there is a truly wonderful story hidden away in the game's darkest, dirtiest corners. My only real complaint with that, or maybe my only real complaint about Layers of Fear in general, is that most of the game is procedurally generated. Now that's not bad in itself, but it means that should you miss anything, you can't go back for it. You're never going to be locked out of obtaining essential items or anything game breaking like that, but it can be frustrating to be faced with a branching path and not knowing which is an optional side room and which is the story progression, and then being punished with a locked door for guessing incorrectly. However, the procedural generation is a double-edged sword, as it allows the game to stage some incredibly effective scare scenes without forcing you to backtrack or wander aimlessly through what would otherwise be an enormous map. I feel like rattling off a montage of these set pieces while I try and come up with a dozen variations on saying, look how fucking scary this shit is, would be redundant, so instead, why don't we take a look at 5 of the horrors Layers of Fear has to offer in the context that they deserve. Quite early on it's established that our protagonist is not exactly of the soundest mind, an affliction that manifests itself mainly in his belief that there are hundreds of rats hiding in the very walls around him. You know, maybe he's right, or maybe the noises he's hearing can be attributed to other influences, but his obsession with malevolent vermin grows increasingly more unhinged as you progress through the game. It comes to a head at this room's central feature, a gruesome deformation of Da Vinci's famous painting Lady with an Ermine falls apart to unleash a stampede of rats upon the player, a second sea of which will attempt to eat you alive. The art in Layers of Fear is truly beautiful to behold, but some of it isn't about to hang on a wall quietly and suffer you evaluating it with your dirty eyes. While many of the paintings will do little more than change into horrifying mockeries of their former selves, or distract you while the furniture tries to sneak up on you, others prefer to jump off their fittings, or make a giant bloody mess in the kitchen. The seemingly harmless self-portrait of Joshua Reynolds will even lure you into a trap where he can stare at you until you have some sort of seizure and collapse. As we saw in the previous entry, some of the game's furniture and scattered items are less than content to sit around waiting for your alcoholic bullshit to fall asleep on them. Their activity ranges from fairly peaceful, such as when everything decides to spontaneously float in the basement while you flee for your life as calmly as possible, to outright fucking hostility, such as when the floors give way suddenly, or the room blows itself up in the hope that even a splinter of its self-detonating suicide will pierce your kneecap and gimp you, making it all the easier for our next entry to catch up to you. Uncovering your wife's backstory in Layers of Fear is both a personal highlight of the game so far and unspeakably tragic. A talented musician and singer, she was trapped in a blaze that killed and injured scores of people, surviving only as a crippled and disfigured wreck needing her own personal pharmacy to cope with the pain. What no amount of medication could help her cope with, however, was you, who she planned to kill as painfully as possible, an item on her bucket list that has survived the bucket and now drives her ghost through the twisted halls of your home. You'll glimpse her from afar at first, peeking through a door, a shadow in the hallway or on the wall, but get too close to her various hideouts around the mansion or pay no heed to the house itself warning you not to go anywhere near her, and she'll pin you down and strangle the fucking life out of you. Aside from trying to break down doors to tear your face off and drop you down lift shafts, she's also fond of launching various household objects at your head like knives, ceiling fans and her wheelchair, but mercifully, even in death, she throws like a girl. The first time you go to explore your daughter's nursery, a toy ball nonchalantly rolls towards you. You stop for a moment, but then proceed, confident that your long and storied career of horror gaming and movie watching has more than prepared you for any ghost child related scares. You are, in fact, so catastrophically wrong that in a mirror universe your reflected self would be hospitalized by their own smugness. Your daughter isn't as directly violent as your wife, preferring to let her endless collection of dolls do her dirty work for her in various other areas of the house, but entering her room is nothing less than a knock on the doors of Gehenna itself. I'll stop the chatter for a moment because this part here really just reviews itself. So there you have it. Not a complete game just yet, but already a fantastic one. You can expect a full playthrough upon the release of Layers of Fear's first full build, of course, but until then, I hope you've enjoyed the slight change in our usual programming. Did you like the review format? Would you like to see a little bit more of it? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you also for all the lovely messages I got while I was ill wishing me better. I love you guys to death. The Fragnostic is back in the fights. Repent and rejoice, lovelies. Repent and rejoice.